Hey, I got a little different word of the week than normal. Normally, it's like a character trait. Um, I did this when I was coaching high school football. Every week, I would give the athletes a character trait to help them see what it means to be a competitor, what it means to be a good teammate, what it means to be a good student, what it means to be a good man, and just kind of give them stories. But I feel like it's time to finally talk about the word coach and what the word coach means to me. I'm very passionate about coaches, coaching, um, and that whole community. So to me, this is a simple, one. There's multiple parts of a definition of a coach. There's multiple version of it. To me, a coach is someone who helps you to see who you can be and gives you the action steps to get there. A coach will look at an athlete, look at a young person, see their traits, see the good things about them, see the things to correct, give them a vision for who they can be, but gives them action steps to improve upon to get there. Maybe that's making your feet quicker. Maybe that's getting stronger. There's different things that can help an athlete get better at their sport. So I got a few stories, a few examples when I was coaching and coaches that coached me. My very first year to coach, I was a graduate assistant coach in the fall of 2001. And the offensive line coach that I was under left to go take a position at a different school, a head coaching position at a different school. So for that one practice, I was in charge of the offensive line at the University of Oklahoma. Giant responsibility, and I feel, I remember one moment where I did not do a very good job, and it's ingrained in my memory. And I wish I could go back in time and take this moment back. The During the conditioning piece of that day, the offensive line, my old teammates were having a tough time doing what they're coached to do, expected to do by the strength coach. And so I was trying to motivate them to get them going, but all I really did was yell at them. All I did was just yell and scream and try to motivate them through me being loud to run faster and do better. And immediately when that day was over, I felt horrible because those are my old teammates and my old friends, and I feel like I hurt those relationships. But two, I'm like, that's not coaching. I'm just yelling at them. Not everyone's going to respond the same. So I tried, and I still try to this day, when I'm coaching, when I'm teaching, when I'm being a father, um, it's a bad habit to be loud and to yell. Yelling is just more like I'm throwing a verbal fit than anything. So don't be a coach that yells. I'm going to still tell stories about three different coaches that influenced me. Merv Johnson was a coach. I talked about this in a previous podcast when I was the fourth string center. But Merv Johnson was the tight ends coach in the fall of '96 at OU, and I was an offensive lineman that didn't know how to snap the ball to the quarterback under center, and I was the fourth string center. So Coach Johnson, Coach Merv, as many guys know him, took the time to teach me how to snap the ball. He helped me with deep snapping. I was also a backup deep snapper on punt and field goal. He coached me, but it wasn't necessarily the mechanics of how he coached me. Or the actual skill that he taught me, but it was how he did it, how he coached me, how he treated me, really impacted me as a young athlete. And then as I became a young coach, I would go as a graduate assistant coach. I would spend some time in his office, hearing him tell stories of the Big Eight when OU was playing different teams and he was coaching, and just gained a wealth of knowledge from him. My seventh and eighth grade track coach, he was also a seventh grade football coach, was Coach McElhaney, Mustang South Middle School. And he would be probably one of the biggest reasons I got into coaching, because at a time in my life when my parents were getting divorced, he was a constant force there for me, a positive male role model. He was a strong believer. He was also the FCA sponsor at Mustang South Middle School, and just made it a tremendous influence on my life. Poured into me, called out leadership within me, pushed me to be to be a better athlete. And can't thank that man enough. Sam Pittman was the offensive line coach at OU for two of my years there. And I remember a time when so he would meet with the offensive line on Tuesday mornings at like 6:30 or 6. We met for an hour and watched opponent film, and he always brought us donuts to eat. You know, we're offensive linemen, we like to eat, and boxes of donuts would make their rounds around the room. They always ended up the same places, and we always had crack jokes and had fun. He was a highly relational coach that poured into us. I remember there was one time where his father had been injured in a bad accident, and he was just talking to us about us, talking to us about life. And I mean, he broke down and showed some real emotion in that moment. So for us, we're anywhere from 19 to 23-year-old young men, and our leader, our coach, showed some real raw emotion. That was a very powerful moment for me as a coach, for me as a young player, to see my coach show some vulnerability in that moment, to say, hey, it's okay, it's to have those emotions. And he was highly relational already, and he just we loved him. We would do anything and fight for him as a coach. Last story, my second year as a head football coach, we went 2-8. We had the same coaching staff. We ran a lot of the same system we had done the year before. Our first year we went 9-3 and won the district championship. Second year we go 2-8, and made me look inside and ask some tough questions. Why do I coach? Why do I do what I do? And really begin to look introspectively of what am I doing as a coach on the field and off the field to improve the players, to make them better. I tweaked some things scheme-wise on the field, but really looked at, as a staff, how are we treating and building up the players. And so my third year as a head coach, we went 9-3 with the same kids, the same staff that went 2-8 the year before. We just had some subtle shifts in the things that we did. We poured into the players and had a much different result. Got so many more coaching stories, but I'll save those for another day. Two foundational periods for me as a coach. When 2 years I was a GA, and 1 year, 2 years I was a GA at OU, and 1 year at Northeastern in Tahlequah. I was around at OU some high-level leaders, high-level coaches that were head football coaches and head Division I head football coaches. To see how they prepared and carried themselves greatly impacted me. And then I spent one season at Northeastern in Tahlequah, where was my first year as a position coach. It made me dial in technique and scheme and what I felt was important as a coach. It really helped me to focus. And then my first 3 years as a head coach, I talked about those 3 years in the story I just shared. Really helped me to realize what's important as a coach. So I've got 5 things, base principles of coaching. I feel that a coach, regardless of your sport, can really focus on to become a good coach. One, they don't care. This is a phrase I've learned early on in coaching. So they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Again, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. The athletes don't really care about the X's and O's, the success you've had, until they know how much you care. They want to see your heart. They want to see that you as a coach care about them individually. They want to see that you're willing to pour into them to make them better. Second point. So, first point is they want to know how much you care. Second point is don't have an ego. Check your ego at the door. Coaching isn't about you. Coaching isn't about ego. It is not about how great I am or my coaching prowess. Anybody that comes in with an ego will be fed a humble pill eventually. Either, they say in coaching, you're either getting hired or you're getting fired. That's a very common phrase in the coaching community. Don't have an ego. You're going to swallow a humble pill if you're not careful. It's not about you and your success. Number 3, it's not about the X's and O's. It's not about how great I am at schemes or technique or the coaching of the kids. I'm gonna build these kids up as a great players. No, it's not about that. It's not about the wins and losses. Coaching isn't about wins and losses. You want to win. I understand that. A lot of the high school level and up, you will get hired or fired based off of your win-loss record. Here's what it's really about. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes. It's about those individual athletes. It's about relationships. Relationships are greater than championships. Remember that. It's not about the X's and O's, the W's and the L's. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes. Relationships are greater than championships. Are a result. Championship teams are a result of building up the individual athletes. You're only as strong as your weakest link. Build those individual pieces up over and over and over. Build them up, build them up, build them up. And as a result of that effort of building up the individual athletes, you will build championship team. Build championship attitudes and efforts on whatever field you're dealing with. It's not about X's and O's, wins and losses. It's all about the relationship with the Jimmies and the Joes. Number 4, fun. Now this is specifically talking about coaching. Fundamentals are key. Fundamentals are key. Don't neglect the base core elements of your sport. In football, it's blocking and tackling. Simple as that. If you can't block, I don't care how fancy your X's and O's are, you're not going to pass the ball, to get the ball off, run the ball. It's all about the blocking. And it doesn't matter how many blitzes you can draw up, how fancy your coverages are. If you can't tackle, it doesn't matter. So fundamentals are key. You have to, for me, when I was coaching, I might be coaching an offensive lineman that it's his 3rd year to start, and I'm still going to coach him the same way I would coach a 7th grader on base fundamentals. I'm going to coach him exactly the same with his steps, with his hands, with his hips, how to rip his hands. I'm going to say the same words as I would to a 4th grade offensive lineman. And so don't neglect the fundamentals. I don't care how old you are, what level you're at. Fundamentals are key. Number 5, last one, never forget your why. Why are you coaching? You have to be able to answer that question. And if it has to do with winning championships, those kind of phrases, you're in it for the wrong reasons. Just my opinion. Coaching is not about that. I've covered that before, but never forget your why. Why did you get into coaching? Always return to that. Every off season, spend time as a coach on why you're coaching. What's the purpose? What's the reason for you to be coaching that team? And here's the thing: is bitter, old, crusty coaches crush kids. Bitter, old, crusty coaches crush kids, and I hate it. I hate it when a coach is just you can just feel the bitterness in him, and they don't build kids up. All they do is tear them down because they're angry about whatever they're dealing with in life. Get out of coaching. Go do something else. Go coach somewhere else so you can get a new lease on life. Kids need hope. A good coach gives kids hope, not just for life, not just on the field. I'm sorry, not you give kids hope, not just on the field, but also in life. Never forget this last thing. Never forget a coach. This is specifically talking about male coaches. I'm talking about football, male coaches. This is the world I live in, so this is unapologetically. That's what this statement is for. Never forget a coach is a vision for manhood, marriage, fatherhood, leadership. Be a coach worth following. A coach is a vision for manhood, marriage, fatherhood, leadership. Be a coach worth following. See you guys later.